Another commentary channel. What is the weirdest death you've ever heard of? Now, since this is a pretty dark topic, I decided to go with only the very silliest deaths. Please don't call the police on me. So our first weird death, Draco of Athens. Now, Draco of Athens was killed in the year 620 BC. He was a lawmaker. The citizens were so pleased with the law that he had passed, they showered him with gifts. Here you go, Draco. Love you, Draco. It was mostly cloaks and hats, and this guy was crushed and suffocated under the gifts that were bestowed upon him. Unfortunate, really. I mean, if I had to go, that's not a bad way. So, the next weird death, I'm not going to pretend to know how to say this guy's name. Zeuxis? I don't know. Zeuxis. This really gross old lady came up to Zeuxis, who was a painter, and they said, I want to commission a painting of Aphrodite, a famously beautiful goddess. The only catch was, the little old lady said, I have to be the model. I'm going to be the model for Aphrodite. And so he did it. Everybody's got to eat. Zeuxis got to get that bread. But when Zeuxis was done with this painting, he literally laughed himself to death. He died of laughter because this little old lady looked terrible. She looked absolutely terrible, and Aphrodite's beautiful. Obviously, we have a scale here. Terrible looking, beautiful, it looked nothing like her. He died of laughter. What else is there to say about this one? He laughed himself to death. So that has happened in history. In the year 430 BC, things obviously weren't as technologically advanced. There wasn't really medical science. I want to say that the lack of knowledge is why this next guy died. Empedocles of Acragos. Jesus, I don't know how to say any of this. So Empedocles was a pre-Socratic philosopher. Maybe Socrates introduced the idea that nobody is immortal, because this guy, Empedocles, was like, you know what? I'm so smart and I'm so cool. Look at my robes. I'm a great philosopher, basically, is what I'm trying to say here. I'm Empedocles the Great. Look at how dumb and idiotic I am. You know what he did? Guess what Empedocles did? He thought he was literally immortal. So Empedocles, he walked up to the nearest volcano and he said, check this out. This guy jumped into a volcano. He jumped into a volcano to prove that he was immortal. And guess what? He made it onto this list of deaths. Who would have thought? This next one, I switched it up a little bit. This happened about 25 years before Empedocles. This guy, Aeschylus, I think his name is, he was a little baby, a little crybaby. He would always go around and say, a house is going to fall on me. I'm going to get crushed to death. I'm predicting my own death. And honestly, I'm mocking this guy, but he did predict his own death. Except it wasn't a house. An eagle had a tortoise in its claws. And this eagle was like, look at that rock down there. I'm going to drop this tortoise on that rock and it's going to break the shell. That was Aeschylus's head. He dropped the turtle onto Aeschylus's head, and it killed him. If only... Look, it looks like he has hair. I don't understand how this one happened. But imagine that, though. Going around and predicting your death, and insanely enough, you get it generally right, but not really. My God. This next one, dear God. Chinese Emperor Qin Shi Huang. Holy, what an idiot. This is the most idiotic one, hands down. Put your hands down. Because Qin Shi Huang is the stupidest person in the history of the human race. And I'm disregarding people that, they got a railroad spike through their head, but they're still functioning. That's like a little bit below Qin Shi Huang. This guy was always on the quest of eternal life. Woo! That's possible. What an idiot. What an idiot. What a stupid fucking idiot. This guy thought eternal life was possible, and he was being advised by concubines. First mistake. You don't need to be smart to be rich. He drank mercury. He drank mercury over the course of months. I don't know if it was years. I don't think it could have been. And he's like, wow, this is shiny. It's metallic. It must lead to eternal life. This guy whose balls I cut off, he tells me, even though I keep him as a slave captive, this will make me immortal. Sure, I'm being advised by people that I had their families executed, and maybe none of this is good. Maybe I'm an idiot, and just because I'm a tyrant, it doesn't mean I'm smart. Okay, I'm really going off on Qin Shi Huang, but my God, I need to make a video on Chinese emperors from the past, because they are diabolically idiotic. I mean, say what you will about kings in Europe and how evil they were, but Chinese emperors, they just take the cake and they make another cake and they take that too, and then they take the bakery, then they take the city that the bakery's located in and they put a big cake on that and they take that too. They're absolutely, I cannot even think of a word of how you could be this brainless. I mean, absolutely brainless. Qin Shi Huang, I spit in your general direction, you evil piece of shit. So for the last death I want to talk about in antiquity, it's Saint Lawrence. Saint Lawrence is the patron saint of cooks, and here's why. In the year 258, he was executed by being cooked alive. And look, I wanted to keep this one lighthearted, and it's going to stay that way, because this guy, he's the coolest guy on the list. I'm going to say it. He's the coolest guy on the list, because while he was being cooked, he said to the guys cooking him, he's like, hey, this side is done. You guys flip me over, I'm done on this side. Legend. Saint Lawrence, the patron saint of cooking, you're a legend. Alright, so that's going to do it for this installment of unusual and weird deaths throughout history. This has been the Antiquity section, and if it turns out that you guys like this, I will upload another era soon. Remember to subscribe to the channel, because that's what you're supposed to say at the end of the video in order to get people to subscribe to the channel. That's what you do. And if you made it this long in the video, maybe you left it on accident and can't reach the stop button, I get that. I would sympathize with that. But in any other scenario, I think you would just be working against your own best interest to not subscribe, because clearly you are entertained, okay? Clearly you're a little weird and you like to know about weird deaths throughout history. I left out the gruesome shit, all right? I only touched on the ones that are truly strange, and I feel like I did a good job. So subscribe to my channel. Did you do it yet? Okay, again, you are still here, so I'm just like, why, right? All right, I'm gonna give you till 5, huh? And if you're still here and you're not subscribed, I would seriously go to like the head doctor, because something is very seriously 1, 2, 3, 4.